Greetings and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this channel, a channel dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, and other forms of rock music. So today we are back at the Hard Rock 7, the series that I'm doing. This is a mini series, about there's 7 episodes total, one for each of the Hard Rock 7. So a little bit about the series, just in case you haven't been following, and if you haven't, you can go back and watch the first 2 episodes. So what I'm doing is I've decided to pick 7 hard rock bands that I think are the big 7, kind of like the big 6 I did before, only with that is a well-known big 6 prog bands. This is a 7 that I chose to do, mostly because Ben prompted me, but also because I decided that with the prog one that we did, I didn't choose any of those bands. They were just the well-known big 6. So now I've chosen to do this. Part of the problem I had with that one is that one of the bands I didn't really know much about, and I didn't really follow much, so took a little bit of heat from a few people for that. So this time I know all the bands and I'm sticking with it. So the first qualification for me to do these ones is that I like all these bands. The second is that they had to have some notoriety, be big enough to be known by most people, and generally influence the form of music that they're playing in. Also, they had to be at least thought of as hard rock bands, not some band that did a few hard rock songs and then did a bunch of other stuff. No, I didn't want to do that. So basically I think all these bands are known for their hard rock music. I chose 7 out of the 13 or so that I had listed and was thinking about, and then I chose these 7 because I think they are the definitive 7. I could have done 13, but 7 is a good number. I think that these 7 all fit well in there. The other thing is, this is just my opinion. This is not the definitive big 7 that everybody should know as the big 7. That's not the case here. These are just the 7 that I think are the best 7, and that's all really. I can't tell people what is the best 7. I'm not inside them, so I don't know what their big 7 is, but these are the 7 that I think deserve to be here. So having said all that, we've now done 2 bands, and I'm basically following the kind of the same format as I did with the first 2. I'm going to tell you their best album, I'm going to tell you their last album, the membership list, the big era, and then talk a little bit about the band and the number of albums they've released. So the band we're doing today shouldn't come as any surprise to anybody. This is Styx, and I have a couple of their albums here. This was, to me, their magnus opus, their biggest album, the one that most people see as their best album. It's not my particular favorite. It is in my top 5, but it's not my particular favorite. But it is a masterpiece album, nevertheless. Just a great album with lots of classic Styx stuff on it. Much of what people would know, Come Sail Away, is on this as well, which may be their biggest hit of all time. And lots of really classic stuff, and this features the classic rock lineup of them as well. Released in 1977. So at this point in Styx history, they have now released 17 studio albums and a number of live albums and maybe a few compilations as well. But we're here basically to talk about the discography, which includes the studio albums. So the last album that Styx produced is this one, Crash of Crowns. I actually happen to have this. This is a fantastic album. Definitely belongs in the classic era of Styx. If you haven't been following this band, you're missing out. This is a great album. The only criticism of this album may be that the songs are a little bit on the short side, but other than that, really good album. Lots of really good stuff. Everybody's singing on here. Even JY does a song on here too, I believe, or maybe he does part of a song, I'm not sure. There's one song where all 3 of them sing. So I love this album quite a bit. It's it was one of my favorite albums when it came out in 2021. So the classic era of Styx has long been thought of, I think, as 75 through about 83. Now you could include the Wooden Nickel era albums that came out from 72 to 74, but they're not well known and not many people have had a chance to buy them or even gone looking for them. So I decided to start with Equinox, which, while not doing great at its initial sales, is a fantastic album, one of my favorites, and deserves to be in this era. So we're going from Equinox right through to the Kilroy was here, which I think ends the classic era. And to be honest, I would rather disclude that album. I would have just went to Paradise Theater, but it did really well, and the band is noted for it, and that era can't really be ignored as being part of the classic era, although there's nobody playing any stuff from that album anymore. Anyways, that to me is the classic era of the band, 1975 through 1983. Now they are still going strong, and the last the last three albums have been really, really good. This last one especially was, I think, fantastic. So the members of this illustrious band, which has been around since 1972 to present, so 51 years later, they're still rocking. Not a ton of people have played with Styx, but enough. Of course, the classic lineup of Dennis D. Young, J.Y. or James Young, Tommy Shaw, Chuck, and John Panazzo as well. But also John J.C. Krulewski, who played with the band up until he was replaced by Tommy Shaw. Glenn Burtnick was also in this band. Will Evan Kuvich also played in the band. Todd Sucherman, who's a fantastic drummer, is in the current band, along with Lawrence Gowan, who I think is greatly underrated vocalist, and Ricky Phillips on bass as well, and he does good backing vocals as well. So they've had that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 members in a band that's been spanning 51 years. Not a huge volume of people, but a medium range volume, and most of these guys are pretty solid too. For me, this band was probably the first band that I between them and Queen, were the first band that I kind of got into after my Kiss era. So they were kind of the first two frontliners, and Styx ended up being one of the great ones for me. It's still in my group of 8 now. I wasn't sure whether I was going to include this band. Initially, they weren't in the final 7, and then I thought about it, and one of the bands in the final 7, I didn't feel as comfortable with them being in there, because even though I've known them for years and listened to them for years, I haven't got a real grasp of their whole entire discography. So I decided, and then I thought about, how can I not include Styx in this? Because my initial thought was they're too proggy. There's too much prog in their music, and there's too many pop stuff in their later stuff before they got back into what they're doing now. But there's a lot of hard rock stuff here, and I've always thought of Styx as a hard rock band first and foremost. Yeah, they have more prog element than most of the other bands you're going to see in this mini series here, but they deserve to be somewhere. I don't think they're proggy enough to be in with the prog bands. I don't think they're poppy enough to be in with the pop bands. So they belong here in this hard rock category, because they've put out some of the best hard rock songs that I've ever had the pleasure of listening to. Yes, there's a lot of keyboards in their music, which is probably the reason why they are so proggy. They do have that proggy sound, but I still think of them as a hard rock band. Same as I think of Deep Purple, which we did yesterday, as a hard rock band, even though they have keyboards. They do not use the Hammond organ as much, which is probably the reason why I like them more. They had about a 3 or 4 album run there that was spectacular, from sales wise, they are I believe the only band to have 4 triple platinum albums in a row, which would span Grand Illusion, Pieces of Eight, Cornerstone, and Paradise Theater. Yeah, but they also had those 2 albums, the transitionary albums from Krulewitsky to Shaw. The first one, Equinox, is one of my favorite of their albums, and Crystal Ball, really good, and had that great song by Tommy Shaw to introduce him in the title track of Crystal Ball. I think Shaw and JY really complement each other. JY's that more hard rocking lead guitar parts, really good. Tommy Shaw does all that other stuff, the acoustic bits and the mandolin and all that other stuff. But he's really quite good at his guitar as well, and definitely the 2 of them really complement each other. The fact that they both sing is even more of a thing, and the 3 singers together, D. Young, JY, and Tommy, really great combination. But I have to say, I really love Lawrence Gowan. I think he's a fantastic singer, has more versatility, I think, than the other 3. But he can do voices of, like, there's a couple songs on the new one where he really sounds like Freddie Mercury a lot, and he's able to do that. Plus, he's very flamboyant, very frontal, like a great front man in a lot of ways. I am not disappointed at all that Styx have taken Lawrence Gowan as the keyboardist vocalist, and he's been in the band now more than Dennis was, and I'm not competing the 2 against. I love both of them. Dennis DeYoung is one of my favorite vocalists of all time, but a lot of people want to remarry them, and I don't know. I didn't like the direction Dennis took the band in when he left, and I have a feeling that you might get more of that direction if he comes back. I would rather them do their own things, But I'm not going to get into that. That's for another episode of something else that I'm planning. But anyways, here we go. Such a fantastic band, album after album, from Equinox, Crystal Ball, Grand Illusion, Pieces of Eight, Cornerstone, and Paradise Theater, all well within the Styx sound. Paradise Theater, a little bit more poppy, and Cornerstone a little bit more poppy than the previous 4, but still a lot of really good sounds to their music. But to me, the classic era is that era between 75 and 83. Just really good stuff. They have the ability to make those really hard rockers like Renegade, Blue Collar Man, Miss America, Born for Adventure. The list is kind of endless. I think really good songs, right? And they are like a lot of hard rock bands. They tend to do a little of those kind of ballady stuff, like Babe and the song was in my head. It's gone right out of my head now. I can't remember what it's called. And anyways, they've got some of that stuff in their music too, and you're going to get that with hard rock bands because they tend to like to go that way. But the stuff that I like the best is the hard rock stuff. So there you have it, Styx, for day 3 of the Hard Rock 7. And if you like anything I've said, please comment in the section below, on the comment section. Anything about Styx that you want to talk about, or their albums. Do you think Grand Illusion is their greatest, or perhaps you have another one you think is more suitable to that spot? Do you care that they did that pop era, or does it bother you? Do you think maybe they're a little too proggy for this? I don't know. You tell me what you think. For me, I think of them as a hard rock band. And if you got any other comments about the band's status or anything like that, please make all your comments below. And please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And we'll be back tomorrow with day 4 of those Hard Rock 7. Take care.